Dave.
John.
Shane.
Chad.
These sci-fi guys.
Welcome to these Sci-Fi Guys. I'm your host, Dave, and with me always is John, Shane, and Chad. Today, the movie we're going to be discussing, one of my favorites. Yeah, maybe not one of my favorites, but I'm sure we'll talk about that more. Doom. Yeah,
Doom.
Carl Urban, and we can't call him Dwayne Johnson because in this movie he was called The Rock. So
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
there you go. Yeah, so we're talking about Doom, the movie. Everyone have a good day today? Since last time we met, everyone's doing good?
Yeah.
I see
Rocking and
thumbs up.
rolling.
Lots of thumbs up. Remember,
Yeah, I'm
Hey,
going
I went
audio.
audio this time. Let it be known. I went audio. I said yes.
He
Thank
did.
you very much. You
He did go
You
audio.
Very
Yep.
good.
Well, like I said, I've been doing a lot of talking today, so I decided to do thumbs up.
Chad,
Well,
I feel you there.
our YouTube people will enjoy that. So anyway, so we will go ahead and start with behind the scenes. I just got new headphones, so I didn't have to have the cord, and man, it's loud.
Oh Lord, don't be loud. We don't need
Yeah.
loud in here.
Sorry, guys, I had to figure out which button it was to turn it down. Anyway, think about it this way. Most of us, well, let me rephrase that. The other three people in this pod don't remember when this first came out. So think about it this way: 35 plus years ago. So older than John, getting close to Chad and Shane's age. All right. Playing an action computer game meant that you could move icons on a screen with a joystick.
Ooh.
That's if
Right.
you're lucky.
If you were lucky, exactly. 1992, the company ID. It was a software company. They released a first-person shooter called Wolfenstein 3D, and it changed everything. Now, all of a sudden, you are not. Well, let me phrase that. You guys had a gun, projectile weapon-based combat shown through the first-person perspective. You no longer played the character. Now you were the character. So, and one of the most influential games in this first-person shooter was also by ID Software, and it was a game called Doom. Here, let me pull a picture up here. Doom, right there. Doom. Yes. This movie is loosely based on this video game. I say loosely because we'll explain that.
We'll get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Okay, so these games, here I got a picture. This is Wolfenstein 3D. This is how it all started out. You had a joystick, or you could use a mouse. Oh, that was amazing when you got to use the mouse to move back and forth.
WASD.
And then you could push the button to shoot. You basically walked around. You went and used the keyboard to go forward, backward, left, and then left, right to turn. And you could strafe to the left or right. That was the coolest thing. In Wolfenstein 3D, you went against a bunch of, shall we say, Germans. So we don't get banned. All right. Again, so we're talking about Doom. Doom was very similar, except for it amped everything up a notch. It looked a lot better. You can see you had armor, health, ammo. Over on the right-hand side, you could see what you had: bullets, shells, rockets, cells. That was all your ammo count for all the different weapons. You could cycle the different weapons by hitting the keys. So if you wanted a shotgun, you hit number 2. If you hit number 1, you had your hands punched, or knife. You hit number 4, then you got like a rocket launcher or something. I don't remember exactly what they all were. But there was all kinds of different aliens that you had to deal with. And then as your health went down, you notice your face changed and everything. It really was a fun game.
Now,
right? Doom 2. Well, let me phrase that. Let me start over. not start over. That would I don't want to start all over again because then you'd be like, no.
It's only
We
5
didn't hit
minutes.
record again. I did.
It's only
hit
5
record.
minutes, so it's not like we've done 30 minutes of this.
Well, that's true, but we're having fun with it anyway. Anyway, these games originally were called shareware. Basically, they encouraged you to share it with other people.
Freeware.
You got it on a. I know this is old school. You got it on a floppy disk.
They're actually
yeah.
two floppy disks.
You can either no. Actually, I saw it on both. I always had it on the 3 1/4 rather than the 5.5. Yeah,
I had it on the
3.5.
5.5.
Anyway, instead of the big one, I had it on the small one. Anyway, so but yeah, you could play like the first 3 levels. That was it on the shareware game. And then, of course, if you went on there and you purchased the full game, you got like I think it was like 12 levels, and then there was a couple of hidden levels that you could get to, but you had to do certain things to get to those levels. Well, then they decided to the next year they released Doom 2, and then it basically was the same game except for you got a better shotgun. You know, in the first one you shot once and then you had to reload it. This one you got a double barrel shotgun. And it was much quicker loading. That was about the only thing. Everything else was pretty much the same. They did have some different characters that you get to fight against. Some people, there was a secret level where you could do things against Wolfenstein 3D people also. So, but anyway, we're talking about Doom the movie, not Doom the video game, right? Well,
No.
Doom the movie began in 2003. All right. The project eventually was fast-tracked by Warner Brothers because they knew that Doom 3, the video game, was getting ready to be released, and they wanted the two to coincide. Well, here, Doom 3. All right, you can tell it looks much different than what you saw before. All right. However, Doom, the video game, did not match up with what the movie was. The video game, actually, all the monsters were demons from hell. That's what it was designed for. And that's what you were just shooting them up. And you were on the planet Mars also doing that. So they kept that part, but everything else they pretty much just kind of made up as they went. And Pinky, there was a character in there that actually had like the wheels on it in the video game. I think it was in Doom 2. I don't think it was in the first one. So anyway, director, I hope I can pronounce this guy's name correctly. Anjing Bartkowiak. He was a Polish cinematographer. He did a lot of he directed a lot of movies. He did The Verdict, Speed, Species. He started making his own action movies, Romeo Must Die.
Oh, yeah.
He made moviegoers feel like they were inside of Doom Guy's head as he blasted through the corridors, massacring tons of zombies and confronting the iconic Pinky creature, as I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in this movie, Doom, you had that whole 5 minutes of first-person shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a bad screenshot of it, but that's basically it. Where you ran around and it was just like the movie. I mean, just like the video game where you were first-person shooter, but the way they did that is they actually use steady cams, stabilizers that let operators move their cameras freely while reducing the jitter. But they couldn't do it as one continuous take. The sequence took 3 months.
Wow.
To plan. That's just 3 months to plan.
Oh,
okay.
Never mind.
14 days to film. So it was still 2
yeah.
weeks. And it estimated that around 15 splices were made at various points where they later obscured that with digital effects. The end result was 7,000 continuous frames of live action with 2,000 more that were done completely by CGI.
Okay.
All right. So what do y'all think what do you think it cost to make this movie?
150 mil.
All right, you got 150 mil from John. Chad, what do you think?
I'll say 100.
100 mil. Shane?
I'll go in the middle. I'll go 125.
You guys are all way high. It only cost $60 million.
Okay, well, listen, the
Wow.
last time we did that
Okay.
segment, I shot way low, so I overcompensated here.
It's all
See,
good. It's all good.
You gonna find out
Okay.
why I went 100.
Now comes the shocking thing. Do you think it made any money?
I refuse to answer. I plead the
Maybe-
fifth.
Okay. No, it lost money.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
It was
It lost-
budgeted
Wow.
at 60 million. It grossed 58 million worldwide. So it was
Wow.
still in the hole by $2 million.
$2 million.
And
And only 28 in America.
million in North America.
Yeah, look,
Wow.
all the star-studded cast it had.
Mm-hmm.
You would
It
think
should
with
it
the
would
cast,
have been better.
Yeah.
you would think it would be better. Yeah, but not so much. Not so much. So that's all I've got for behind the scenes. So now we're going to go to our questions. All right, I'm going to give you all a softball question, okay? Is C24 the same super serum that Steve Rogers got? I mean, is it? Is it not? I mean,
Easy answer, no. But it would make
basic-
sense if they had done some like other testing that it was like, oh, we know we need someone of high morality. That way they don't turn into an absolute monster.
Well,
I could see that being an excuse, but
because if you look at it, you got Captain America, Steve Rogers, and then you had Winter Soldier that was used the same. Turned out two different ways, but it's still at the end Winter Soldier came good.
I
But
say technically turned out the same way.
Yeah.
The Winter Soldier was just brainwashed.
yeah,
Yeah.
brainwash.
yeah, he was brainwashed. So
Yeah.
So I mean,
I don't know. I kind of thought, I was like, well, maybe they got this idea from the Captain America serum is what I was kind of thinking for the movie,
I can kind of
But-
see that. I think that it's there definitely is some similarities there, but I think the whole thing about if you're good, you're superhuman. If you're evil, you're a monster. I just don't think that
No.
coincides with the serum that Captain America would have done.
No,
How many out of here? How many of y'all actually played this game?
it's
Me.
iffy. I
Not
have
me.
a little bit. I haven't played it
I
greatly.
played Doom 1, Doom 2, Wolfenstein 3D.
Mhm.
Played all three of them.
You remember going through the game? You actually come up with little vowels like the blue.
Mhm.
And that's you think
It was supposed to be adrenaline, is
Yeah,
all it was
adrenaline.
supposed to be.
Yeah. So you had armor, you had that, and you had health. It was not. Yeah, this is. I think all this is what they try to do is, hey, this is turn you into, give you that superhuman where you heal yourself.
Yeah, I can
Mhm.
see that. I mean, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting how Captain America basically did the same thing, but he
Mhm.
was such a virtual guy that, he just became Captain America. All right.
Fair point.
Okay. Now we're going to get some harder questions. Do you think if a criminal is slated for death, they should have the option to be experimented on, like in this movie?
Okay, scientifically, ethically, I vote no. However, as a whole, I did have an idea at one point in my life, and I'm not saying it's a good idea, and I'm not saying I would ever do this, of dropping like hardcore prisoners that are destined for death row, just make them like the front infantrymen and drop them in the middle of enemy lines and just let them have at it. And if they survive, they survive. If they die, they were on death row anyway. So, I
Fair.
mean, I could definitely see at least this becoming an option that they would think of for human experimentation, because we live in a
Well, no,
world that
this-
would definitely go for it. But
The option would be for the person that was on death row, not the scientist. Meaning, if they knew they were going to be on death row, they were going to die anyway. If they had the option to say, you know what, you can go ahead and try this super serum. If I live, awesome, I live.
now, listen, if they're volunteering,
That's
that's a whole
basically what I'm
different
saying.
story.
Should it be an option that allows them to volunteer for human trial? Let's just say.
I'm gonna be honest. No, you think it's this is a super serum. This person is on death row. what is this going to do?
Well, I don't think they knew it was a super serum
Yeah.
originally.
True.
No, it was looking for to make the 24th chromosome. What would you, I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we got 23 chromosomes, and we get another pair. It's going to add something to us to do something. I
Mhm.
wouldn't do it on this hardborn criminal that you know that's either a serial killer or we've seen it plenty of times in these Marvel and DC movies where the look at the Spider Man with the Green Lantern, not Green Lantern, but the Green Goblin,
Mhm.
because what he was that super that they make him human or what, I don't know what kind of what he is, what he got him to it, but it got him, it infected him, make him crazy in there.
I agree with Chad. I think that I don't think that's a route you can go down simply because of the effects that could happen. You could have somebody who is a mass murderer who then becomes superhuman and then goes and does more things because you can't stop them because they're superhuman. But I also kind of lean to the fact that, well, I mean, let's say that you have a criminal who is actually, even though they are on death row, they have turned their lives around and they say, I want to have this experiment for the betterment of humankind as a way to repay some of the things I've done or whatever. I don't know how much you can necessarily trust it, but that's a thought. But I would tend to lean to the no, probably.
Yeah, I'm pretty much agreeing with all you guys. I mean, I'm pretty much to the no because I really didn't even when I first came up with the question, I wasn't thinking of it as someone from. I was thinking of it, yeah, okay, the person's on death row, but I wasn't thinking about if they got the super serum now they're Lex Luthor on
Yeah.
death row or something,
No, we
Mhm.
create an actual supervillain at that point.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I really wasn't thinking of that. So you guys make some good points on that. So, all right. Okay. Maybe this is a plot hole, but what was the thing that detached from the monster and attacked the humans in the neck? Was that alive? Was it like a symbiote? Or what was that? Was that the 24th chromosome by itself? Or I mean, I honestly want to know what you guys thought.
I
Well,
thought it was kind of like a parasite kind of thing. Like that's what they shoot out, and that's what kind of spreads, sort of spreads the chromosome around. The only thing that was confusing was when they were talking about, and I'm sure we'll get into this with plot holes. The thing that was confusing to me is how that thing, whenever it attached and was spreading the chromosome, how it knew, oh, this person is predisposed to being good, this person is predisposed to being evil. And I don't know. It that kind of makes me think maybe it was live. I
see,
don't know.
no, it didn't. It wasn't that. It was the it before he bit the person. He knew who to actually just knock off or to infect. It never. It only came out when he got bit, and that's who it changed. But the only person you saw it had a hard time with controlling is the one was the one to get. Oh, I took the Lord's name in vain and start. And he was
Mhm.
more moral. He said,
The goat.
he just I'm gonna kill my own. I'll go ahead and do my own way out.
Yeah, but it still tried to change him into a monster.
It's still tried. See, that's the other question Dave's going to ask. This is it should be a very because morals of the man. It's tilter when you're a soldier. You can be in
Mhm.
gray area and you can be in a bad area. It's just you follow orders sometimes.
Mhm.
But to answer the question, I mean, look at the alien, the with thing attached to the face, and
Mhm.
I seen it similar, but it's not. It's different. It's just another thing to affect them. You're not getting born. It's nothing getting. You're not. The human thing is not. It's not dying. It's just transforming them. So
Yeah. I mean, I definitely thought. See, I was kind of 50-50 on it because, like, first of all, you have the actual serum in a vial, and then you have this parasite thing. And having both kind of threw me for a loop throughout the film because I'm like, which one is actually doing the work here? Like,
Mhm.
is the parasite injecting said serum? Is that how the scientists were able to get it anyway? Kind of like milking a snake, you know? Are they just finding these parasites and getting the serum? Like, I don't know. That one threw me for a loop overall, and I'm not real confident on if it was, you know, the causation or if it was just there and then it just moved after the thing died. It's kind of like a survival tactic. I don't know.
I don't know either. That's why I asked the question.
I mean, it threw
And
me
I
for a
didn't.
loop too.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna kind of chalk it up and say it's a plot hole, all right? Because I mean, either that or else it was alive, and whenever they injected the initial one, it became a parasite, as Shane said, it became a parasite or it became a symbiotic relationship. Kind of like a Gould from Stargate, how it took over and make them bad or better or whatever. I don't think that I never saw any of those that were bitten got better,
No.
other than Carl Urban because she injected it directly into him, and he was dying also at the time. So yeah, I think I'm just going to chalk it up to a plot hole and I'm not going to mention it in the plot holes because we mentioned it here. So we have other ones that we can talk about.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay. All right. Here's the last question I got. To what extent does the character arc of Sarge, the Rock, reflect a struggle with morality and the potential for a soldier to become the very enemy they fight? So, in other words, when did the mission override helping the people?
That's a tough one because you see in the leading up to when you get the mission, he asks, "Hey, what's the orders? If this don't work, what do we do?" He's already had all the scenarios worked throughout his head. He got told nobody lives. So yeah, it's kind of
But
hard.
as a soldier, I mean, and I guess maybe I just throw my 2 cents in here early. I mean, as a soldier, sometimes you are ordered to do things that could be bad. I just leave it at that. However, we are not mindless robots. You are supposed to question those orders if it goes against your principles, if it goes against the articles of war, if it goes against I mean we have the general orders, human decency, the things like that. I mean, if you have if it goes against any of those, you are supposed to question it. You're not just supposed to follow blindly and just say, well, I was ordered to do that, because anytime anyone that I have known personally or have heard about, that if they just say, hey, I was just following orders, they'll be like, sorry, that's not a good answer. You're still being convicted. So what about all you guys, the other guys? John, Shane, what'd y'all think?
I mean,
I really want. Oh, sorry, John. You go
There
ahead.
you go. Oh, this doesn't work. Okay.
Yeah. I'll follow you.
Fair, I guess. I don't know how it's fair, but whatever. I think this whole morality question, the disobeying orders, I think the kid probably hit what should have been done more accurately, especially in terms of what was right for the situation and the people there. I think this all of a sudden, like just cold killer, that our main character becomes a little just out there, especially like you said, at the end of the day, a soldier is still a human too. And I think some of that requires choices in the moment as opposed to just blind obedience.
I wonder if this goes even further than just blind obedience versus completing the mission and morality. I think he had an ulterior motive. I think he wanted the serum for himself. And I think that he was trying to make sure that nothing was going to stop him from taking it and getting it and using it for whatever he wanted. The film doesn't really talk about that, but I think that just some of the things he said, some of the things he did, kind of there towards the end while all this was going on, it just made me think that he wants this for himself. This is beyond just completing the mission and following the orders. That was my thought.
And to
Well,
piggyback off
he
of that,
did do us kind of a switch after he found out about the chromosome. So
Mhm.
and then there was, you know, that it was there, you know. So I can see that, Shane. I really can.
Well,
I see, I can too, because I thought like he almost started to turn towards the end, and maybe those decisions were driven by like a conflict on the inside. Like maybe he did end up with the serum and he thought he was good, and then he wasn't, but then there was still a good part of him trying to fight that off. Because I mean, his transformation I felt like took a lot longer than some of the others that we saw in the film. Because it looked like he started to turn, so maybe he was just fighting that off the whole time. So the bad decisions were coming from it, but he was still trying to fight it on the inside.
did
That
he
inner
fi-
struggle.
did he fight one of the monsters that turned? So it could got bit.
Could have.
Like,
He had the thing on his neck.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
How do you? I mean, well, that's one of my plot. I'm not even talking about it right now.
Okay, then let's go ahead and talk about plot holes now. Okay, this is the part of the show where everybody loves to talk about our favorite thing. We look for at the movies and we're like, that makes no sense whatsoever. Kind of like, is it a symbiote? Is it an alien? Is it alive? Is it just a chromosome that wants to move? We don't know. So let's start with Chad. Go ahead. You were starting something, so go ahead. Thought.
You notice how, like, yeah, we all was talking about how Sarge was fighting at the end, like staying good, staying in the morality of his character. But the thing is, I think the decision I think before he knew it was a bad thing was about to happen. He said evacuate, and then when it crossed over back into the on Earth, everybody started. You notice he had infected somehow. How? What? Like, I would have loved. I mean, I would love to see that fight. Like, how did that happen?
Mhm.
Well, I'm sure it was when he was starting to go through the door, and then he's like, "This isn't supposed to happen," and then they drag him out.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I'm
supposed
sure
to
that-
die. That's what he says.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm assuming it happened then. But yeah, that would have been cool to see that. Hey, maybe. No. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing is, if you look at how? I mean, where did this doorway come from? I mean, it was they always say it was from ancient. Found it from ancient. Somebody put it there. Why was it
Well,
there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they found the bones of the mother that was protecting her child, but we don't know exactly what they were. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
obviously it was bigger, stronger, faster, whatever. So
Mhm.
who knows? John, how about you?
I'm calling a whole plot hole in the 24th chromosome to begin with, which kind of jumps off of that. Just realistically, I think that kind of change to our DNA being that drastic that quick, I don't think it would produce either of the results the movie sought. I don't know what effect it would have. I just don't feel like that's it. But I also just I don't know. It just took a lot of leaps on that 24th chromosome. And I just in general don't think that is something that would happen. I think the sick, almost zombie route would have been a better option, which we can talk about and fixing and improving. But that whole idea is a plot hole. I think the fact that we are standing by this lovely little magical teleportation device and several options are available and none of them we're doing. We're not completely shutting it down sooner. We're not it's just completely open to Earth still, so anything could go either way, and that's a problem. But we're also not calling in reinforcements when we know the situation's gone bad. I think a lot of things revolve around that portal that just were not. It's just
Yeah,
left open.
yeah.
Like, why are we not using this one way or the other? Either completely
Well,
shutting it down if it goes wrong, or bringing things in.
I was gonna say, John, that was one of the things I have written down. A quarantine is just that. It's completely cutting people off from
Mhm.
potentially transmitting something, a disease, whatever, to other people. Why
Mhm.
would they send everyone back to Earth
Yeah.
when one of them could be infected? They should have been like, boom, it's cut off. We're not doing this until we find out what's going on.
Yeah, that would have
You
saved them
know?
a lot of trouble, really.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, there would have been a lot more dead bodies, but
Well, it happened anyway when they made
Yeah.
it through, regardless. So, I mean, we just
Yeah.
cut them off
Yeah.
at the pass instead of on the end game.
Well,
Yep.
they turned them back away. How did they all come back? Everybody's died. And something's in there. How did you get?
well, apparently Sarge killed them all when he got
One-
back.
Yeah.
No, because Sarge. I mean, Sarge was.
Yeah. I again, lots of them.
It's
Any
just
more?
either-
Any more, John? Or
The parasite thing that we already talked about kind of threw me for a loop. Like I said, I think it should have been more clear what its position was. I think that in of itself was a plot hole. So other than that, no.
okay, Shane?
My main one was the whole origin story of the serum and the whole origin story of how it was infected. I mean, you had monkeys, you had dogs, and you had human experimentation. Like what was it? Like where did it start? What did it come from? Blah 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 blah. Which it did kind of talk about the species that was there. I think they called it Lucy. I think is what they
Lucy.
called it. Yeah, Lucy. So they kind of derived it from that. But I mean, it just went back and forth on where the infection came from, and I
Mhm.
just don't think it was what was nearly settled. You had several different ways you could go, and just the whole portal thing. When you first went into it and you first saw it, it looked great. I was like, "Ooh, this is gonna be like Star Trek. Beam me up, Scotty." All this kind of stuff, and then this little bubble pops up, and I'm like, "What in the world is this?" It was so strange, so strange.
Mhm.
So not really a plot hole, but it was just odd. It was just odd. And then, like John talked about, the whole, the whole I'm a chromosome 24. How okay? How does it know? What is it looking for if you are predisposed to evil? If you're predisposed to good? What is the story behind that? How does it know? How does it decide?
Yeah. I
That
mean,
was a
even Reaper
big plot hole.
said he's like, I've done a lot of bad things in my life. How do you think he got the name Reaper?
Yeah.
The Grim Reaper. That means he's
Yeah.
killed a ton of people, you
Yeah.
know. And so, like you said, yeah. How does it know who's good and who's evil? Yeah. It's just, there are so many. I mean, I just had a couple. The kid, the whole team, you know, were they Marines? Were they different branches? Well, I mean, I don't understand what they were. And
Yeah.
then you would never, especially on a hot fire, is as important as this was. You would never take a brand new kid with you.
Mhm.
You know, I'm sorry. And then he didn't even want to take Reaper with him. You know, and it's like, no. And then of course, Sarge, as a commanding officer. First of all, if you're enlisted, you're not a commanding officer. You're a non-commissioned officer. But still, he sucked. I mean, you never did you notice every time there was three people, one was left by themselves, and that person was the next to die. Every time.
Mhm.
So, oh, okay, let's all stay together.
Strengthen
Clear
numbers.
the whole thing all at the same time, and then we'll find out where it is and be done. No movie.
Horror movie rule number one: stick together.
We talked about that in Alien.
Yeah. Oh, same thing. Yeah. So many times they do this. They're like, oh well, you stay here while the two of them go check this out. Well, guess who's dying?
No.
I mean, I always wanted to put, I really wish that somebody would take the movie and then just superimpose a red shirt of Star Trek over anytime anyone was by themselves, because they wanted it,
There you go.
And the only
Nice.
other plot hole I thought, and maybe you guys can tell me if I'm wrong or not, wasn't Samantha Grimm a research archaeologist?
I think so.
So if she's a research archaeologist, in other words, she digs in dirt, she she looks for bones and all that. How does she know how to do an autopsy? You know,
Fair point.
Oh,
I mean, see, that one's I think a little more answerable because I'm confident if you're doing at least human archaeology, you probably do study a cadaver at least to know where certain things are. So maybe
okay.
maybe she has some skill in that. I mean, that would be my best guess. I do agree it's a bit of a stretch, even
Yeah.
in terms of me saying that, but it does seem like to know what you're finding in the ground, you would kind of work with, somebody donates their body to science, you'd probably work with something like that at least once.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
I
But she was a little too confident for that to be the case.
yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? Before we try to fix this, let's go ahead and rate it now. Okay, in this segment, after listening to this, I wanted to say I didn't want to say segment anymore, but I just started to say it, so I'll just stick with it. This segment, we're going to rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 5 lightsabers. I'm the one that picked it, so guess who gets to do the first rating? I guess that would be me.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was nostalgic to a point, and I really wanted. I mean, I like Carl Urban. I like Dwayne Johnson. I'm going to call him Dwayne Johnson, even though he was the Rock in this movie. I've seen this movie before. However, it is not one of my favorites. Let me give a little disclaimer here. For those of you that have watched this thing for the last or listened to this for the last 36 minutes, and you're like, "Hey, where's Inner Space?" Because that's what we mentioned last week is what we were doing this week. Well, I thought we owned it. I thought I owned it, and I did not. So, and then it came time to us to watch the movie, and we're like, we don't have a movie. I don't own it, and I can't find it on streaming anywhere that we didn't have to pay for. I'm sorry. We're cheap. I have a massive database though, just so you know, and that I've been given a lot of stuff. Other ones I buy movies and then I convert them so all of us can watch them. And so anyway, and I was like, I don't have this movie. I got to pick one, and I was like, okay, A or B. Okay, B. So that's how we ended up with Doom. So I apologize for that. Just want to throw that out there. But we're rating this thing. And since I'm the one that has to rate this thing, I'm going to tell y'all, I'm going to be honest. This probably, especially with what I can see what the other movies we're going to do this year so far, this is probably going to be one of my lowest. For the time, it was not even breaking. It was early 2000s. If they would have done this movie in the 80s and 90s when you had, when Arnold was at his peak, I could see this.
Yeah.
But in the early 2000s, not so much. I'm giving this a half of a lightsaber.
Wow.
Oof.
Yeah. I know I usually go low.
I thought I was about to be mean.
I thought I was
you're not
too.
gonna like mine.
I liked some of the characters. I liked Carl Urban. Samantha was fine. Destroyer was fine. Goat. I didn't understand him. He was supposed to be spiritual, but yet he was cussing all the time. And I'm like, okay, well, so to me, and again with all the plot holes, and if you ask me when I ask a question for the movie for our questions, and I'm like, this could be a plot hole, that's saying something. So that's why mine is as low as it is. Okay, let's go with Shane.
Where do I start?
You better not start with a 5. All right, that's all I got to say.
I guarantee you this
get
will
one
not be a
right.
5.
You'll
I
get one right on
guarantee
here.
Guarantee it. I do feel like the movie had potential. I think that there was things that could have been done that really could have made it good. I thought there was the setup for it, but there was way too many plot holes, way too many things didn't connect. It didn't flow. I will say the highlight of the movie for me was the first person shooting scene where it was like you were in the video game. I thought that was fantastic. But I'll be honest, that was the high point by a large margin. So,
by the way, in the game you can get a chainsaw.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice.
You can get a chainsaw in the game, just like they did in that first person shooter segment. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Segment. There he goes again.
Yeah, segment. So, with all that being said, I am going to give this one lightsaber.
All right, Chad, how about you, buddy?
Well, let me get this going out there. The actors in here, they're good. I love Carl Urban, Dwayne Johnson. Samantha was great. The kid was okay. The only character that brought this movie down is that one that the kid that got paired up with the first time. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh
his name.
yeah, where he's like, "Yo, hey, can you give me some drugs?"
Drugs.
Yeah.
So even that said, the only thing in this movie really got going that I'll probably if I ever watch this, I'll probably fast forward just to watch that part. It's the first person shooter when he actually looks like the game. Other than that, this movie does not deserve a score. It has made my hour and a half. You made me dumb by watching it. So it's a 0.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, it was almost 2 hours. It was 1 hour and 53, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was very close with you, John. I mean, Chad. I can't talk straight. I was very close with doing a 0 also, but the actors kind of. I had to give it a little bit higher. So, John, go ahead. I'm sorry. You want to keep talking, Chad?
Yeah,
you
the actors. I would have that. Yeah, actors probably if they were done if they had a better way, they could have pulled this off, but they couldn't. And it was. I've been watching this when I was a kid and watched it again, and even watched it this time. I'm like, why? I watched the first time just because it was a Doom. Watched it the second time, I was bored, and then like, why did I watch it again? I should just.
Yeah. So following my normal traditions here, I am going to be a little kinder, not much, very little kinder, but it is going to be 1.5, and I can explain every bit of this. So half a point for just shoot 'em up, haha, craziness. I think that's completely fair. A half a point for the cast. So there's my 1. I would have stuck there, and that would have been end of story. But the zero gravity rock wrestling kind of wins me over just a little bit. I agree with the first person shooter as well, but just like the classic, just rock wrestler in zero gravity, it gave it another half point for me as a wrestling fan. So 1.5.
I like that. I like that.
Okay. Well, that's one thing that we're all from different aspects of life. We were talking about this off air beforehand. I remember when wrestling was good. No, I can't say that too much. It's just back when I don't know the different characters. You had the two guys that kind of walk like this. I don't remember who they were. And you had Roddy Piper and Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. And then seeing the beginning of when the Rock came on and all that, and I kind of lost interest shortly after that. But some of these guys they were talking, they were like, oh yeah, hey, I'm into wrestling still. That's great. But we're really going long on time on this one, so let's go ahead and figure out how we're going to fix or improve this movie. All right, I guess it's mine. I get the start. All right. The way I fix it is not to make this movie. I think we've kind of touched on a lot of this stuff earlier. If you're going to go ahead and say it's based off the video game, you can say, okay, they are monsters from hell or demons or whatever, or kind of go with the route John said. Okay, they're not humans, they're zombies, and just go with that. Make the team more relatable, so when they do get killed off, you feel something, otherwise you were just waiting for them to all be killed off. You just knew it. You were like, I know everyone's going to get killed off. Absolutely loved whenever they grabbed onto the rifle and then it read their palm print and then it said who they were.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that. And I actually thought about doing a question on that, but I was like, you know what? It's very similar to what we talked about when we did Judge Dredd, where it's the voice print and it puts a DNA on it. It's very similar to that. So I was like, okay, we don't really want to go there. So I would keep it on Mars, but either make it an alien, make it a zombie, make it demons, make it something else than what it was. And make it more enjoyable. Make some better dialogue, where it wasn't just we're gonna fight, we're doing this, okay, do this, and let it have some kind of semblance of real military. Just because he had Semper Fi tattooed on his back doesn't mean jack. So those are the things I would fix. Somebody else.
I agree.
Never mind. No,
Who is that?
Okay. 1, 2, 3, Chad, go.
So, I mean, I kind of agree. To be, I'm not gonna be mean because since I gave it a 0, I'm gonna at least tell her what they need, how they need to improve it. Because I think that's the best way to do this. Either make it a first. I mean, I would love to see this movie shot more in the first person movie. Like made the Carl Urban, that he's going to do. Each one has the chance of doing this, and all of a sudden you see what they see, not just different camera angles, and you can't see nothing. Because I would love to see their point of view of when, they're about to get, there it is, and fight, and then come out of it, and then play along. Keep the, like I said, with the guns. Hey, Sarge, and this, but like I said, in the end, this only time I might watch this is little clips of this is when they turn in first person. That was amazing how it's just going through and running through levels.
Yeah.
Yeah. And lighten it up. Make it brighter so you can actually see some of the monsters and stuff. It was just too dark.
See, even go through the sewer system. I mean, in the game, it will kill you. It will actually drain your health down.
Oh yeah, because the sewer was lava or something or whatever it was.
It was nuclear waste. It was some kind of
it was nuclear waste. That's right. Because you there were certain places you could go where you could actually like jump to another area.
Yeah.
Where you didn't actually stand into the sewage itself.
Yeah.
So okay, John, you go.
I mean, my biggest thing, I would make it more. I would stick to the video game a lot more. I think just being more faithful to the source, I think would have just been a lot better overall. That's my main fix outside of stuff we've already talked about.
Okay, Shane.
Well, as a guy who never thought he would say, "Don't make a movie," I think the best way to improve this movie is don't make it. As sad as that is to say. Now, I think that you could take the actual story and go one of two ways. I think you can either go towards the straight up action, shoot 'em up, kind of like a John Wick kind of feel, where it is straight action for entire 2 hours. You could go that route, or you can go a route that is more of a horror kind of thing, where it's more of an alien or something like that, where it's more intense, a little more scary. I think you could kind of go that. I think this kind of tried to bridge some of that, and it just didn't work. It just didn't work.
True.
But I think that if you keep it like the video game, number one, keep the plot like the video game, like the guys have said, and then just choose a direction. Either it's going to be just straight up shoot 'em up, or it's going to be straight up horror, in my opinion.
Yeah. I of all the ones I've heard over all the years when we've been doing this and fixing stuff, I love Chad's idea where you see him walking and then you see him kind of pull up and then now it's the first person You
See,
know?
that would be
And
cool.
then
Mhm.
it kind of zooms into that first person shooter. It does that, and then it kind of zooms out like he's getting ready to look up through the scope. You know, then
Yeah.
you see him kind of come down. I think that would
That
be,
would
like,
be cool.
pretty good.
Mhm.
Or I just thought of this. Make it a parody. Make it a
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah, you could do that.
Make it a comedy of all the stupid stuff that you do wrong. You know,
Yeah.
hey,
Mhm.
we're gonna leave one person by himself. You know, and I mean, he
Yeah.
still gets killed and stuff, but it's still like, you know, oops, sorry, you know, or
however
have
how
Well,
Mr.
that
many-
even
Bean in it.
let's go Groundhog Day.
Mr.
If we're
Bean
doing
would be in
that,
it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just lose a life and you restart. Let's go Groundhog Day.
Oh,
and
yeah.
parody
Yes.
it.
fun.
Yes. Yes.
I kind of think that probably would be the best way to fix this.
I agree. I agree.
Okay.
Crypto Enterprise.
Please contact us. Tell us if you agree with our ratings or how you would fix or improve this movie, or if there's a movie that you would like us to review. The easiest way to do that is if you're watching us on YouTube is to comment below. For those of you that are audio only listeners, you can reach us on either X or Facebook at TheseSciFiGuys. Or you could email us TheseSciFiGuys@gmail.com. Yes, we would love to hear from you anytime, anywhere. Email, comment below, comment on Spotify, comment on Apple Podcast, whatever the case may be. Okay, we are now going to discuss other sci-fi stuff. Well, this is a segment we do every so often where we're talking about something that's not a movie that we're kind of since I picked this movie. I'll just tell you, I've been watching a TV show that came out right around the same time this video game did, actually.
Mhm.
Okay, early 90s. And I started watching this TV show, and I was like, you know what? I've never seen it. I know about it, but I had never actually sat down and watched it. I think I've watched like 5 or 6 episodes now of The X-Files.
Oh, yes.
Currently. And it's not so much sci-fi. Yes, it is sci-fi. I mean, it's basically loosely on sci-fi, but it's more mystery. It's more almost police procedure than it is sci-fi. It's just that, at least so far in season 1, where I'm at, that's what I'm seeing so far.
It gets you thinking more. Just
Yeah, that's what it does. It so far it's got me. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That's good.
Mhm.
But it so far I'm enjoying it. I mean, granted, yeah, the clothing, especially that, Mulder wears, Scully wears, is
Scully.
like, oh yeah, that's definitely early 90s.
Mhm.
the hairdo.
The hairdos and stuff. Yeah. But so far, I mean, I'm enjoying it. So it's something different. It's not a movie, but and I just throw it up on the TV every so often. I don't get to watch a lot of them, but so far it's I'm enjoying it. All right, our next movie. It's funny, we've already talked about not being able to find stuff, and I text Chad this week. You guys don't even know this, so John and Shane don't even know this. I text Chad this week. I was like, hey. The movie you picked, I'm like, I don't have it, and you can watch it on, Tubi or Pluto. I said, but you're gonna have to watch commercials. And he's like, nah, let's just get rid of it. Pick this one. So he picked this one, and we're gonna go with Waterworld.
Oh,
Kevin
yeah.
Costner. And what's the other guy? Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Interesting movie. I will look forward to hearing questions. Definitely. It's been years since I've seen this movie, so
Mhm.
Never
and
even heard of it.
I'm not going to ask John
been a
if he's ever
while.
seen it before.
He's already-
Because John's already
I've
said
never even
any
heard of
movie.
It's been a long time since I've seen
I've
it.
at least
been
heard
a
of our
long-
other ones.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen this one, but it's a very good movie. It's a very good, well drawn out story for it. So I like it.
Yeah. So John, it'll be interesting for you to see it. I mean, especially your reactions to it, because it's been years since I've seen it.
Hey,
And
we'll take it.
And now seeing it kind of with our
Our
the
lens.
eyes that we look at movies through now.
Mhm.
So, yeah. Well, everyone, until next time,
Crash and burn.
The Sci-Fi Guys is an independent broadcast by The Sci-Fi Guy Productions. Super Epic is music courtesy of Alexander Nakarita and is found on creatorchords.com. For more information on upcoming episodes, follow us on X at The Sci-Fi Guys. For our audio-only listeners, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Like, subscribe, or leave a comment to let us know how we're doing.